Today is December 4th. It is the anniversary of the death, the murder, the assassination of Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton was killed by the FBI. Fred Hampton was 21 years old. And Fred Hampton had a goal, along with the other members of the Black Panthers. They wanted to obviously utilize mutual aid, dual power, and they wanted to come together with other groups like the Young Lords and the Young Patriots on a class analysis. And they realized the one thing that they all had in common is that they were at the bottom economically. And the people at the top had all the money and the power. The Black Panthers had a lot of good ideas. They started the free breakfast program. They started free clinics in their communities because they realized that the government wasn't going to be there for them like that. So they decided to help each other. The Black Panthers was an international organization. Many don't know this. It wasn't just in the United States, but also in other countries as well. The powers that be had a problem with that. And that includes the FBI. So they killed him. They paid a tribute to Fred Hampton 6 years ago when it was 50 years at that point on WGN News in Chicago. When you watch this, I want you to remember he was only 21 years old.
Black Panther Party this time is a political self-defense.
You know, he'll come up with incorporating some music, you know, with his speech. Someday we'll be together, Diana Ross and the Supremes.
I had to pause that because of the music. I'm so sorry, guys. Give me a second.
Doing the speech about brothers and sisters that have been killed, that have dedicated their life to freedom and liberation. He did it in the People's Church, did that speech. And people just went, it was amazing.
Akua and Jerry says it doesn't really feel like 50 years, but what happened on December 4th, 1969 is seared in her memory. Then known as Deborah Johnson, she was pregnant, sleeping next to Fred Hampton, the chairman of the Illinois Black Panther Party. He was 21 years old.
It took a long time for me to be able to go all the way through from beginning to end narrating what happened.
Mattress is just going. You could feel bullets going into it.
That was the feds coming in to take out Fred Hampton. Now, their story that they told is that they were fired upon, but later on, people would realize that was not the case. They attacked Fred Hampton. They went in with the mission to kill.
I just dead everybody in there.
With help from an FBI informant, Chicago police raided the apartment on the city's west side, killing Hampton and Mark Clark and injuring several others. Cook County State's Attorney Edward Hanrahan called it a shootout, but the Panthers called it a shoot-in.
Oh, they were definitely in a gun battle.
Blood behind the door.
We saw the shots coming out of the two bedrooms.
Those officers fired 99 shots. Federal grand jury concludes that only one possible shot could have come from a Panther weapon. The account that we gave of the event is the truth.
Yeah, and of course it wasn't the truth, right?
Man is a madman. Police officer who did that assassination then walked away from it and said to other people, Bobby Rush is next.
Yeah. Fred Hampton got together with other groups and said, let's fight this class war. Let's work together and fight this class war. Now, despite what some may tell you, we're going to get this right on this show. Despite what some may tell you, yes, he did tell them when he went to the Young Patriots, he told them like, yeah, we can work together on this class thing, but all that racist shit, you got to leave that behind. You got to put that to the side. And everybody didn't agree. Some people that were members of the Black Panthers didn't like that, and they left the Black Panther Party. Some people that were part of the Young Patriots didn't like that, and they left the Young Patriots. But those who remained, they worked together, and they became known as the Rainbow Coalition. And I say this because, let's go on a little bit further here. People need to understand that some of the things that we talk about today or we think about doing have been done. There are very few ideas that are new. And I think sometimes we just have to look back at what was done before and maybe add some tweaks to it. The free breakfast program that the Black Panthers started in Chicago, that led to free breakfast in public schools. That's where they got it from. So they were looking out for their community.
Is next.
If they had laid eyes on me, I would not be sitting here right now. I have no doubt.
Former Panther leader, now longtime Congressman Bobby Rush, believes divine intervention is the only reason why he wasn't in the
apartment. I have to skip this part because of the video footage. Yeah, he wasn't in there, so he wasn't targeted. Let's go into, I want them to show you like some of the things that the Black Panthers did. There was a lot of miseducation about the Black Panthers when I was in school. When I was growing up, I was taught that in my textbook, it said that the Black Panthers were a militant group. They didn't tell me that the Black Panthers did mutual aid. These are things I had to learn on my own. They didn't tell me that the Black Panthers had free clinics. They didn't tell me those things. The propaganda isn't just in the media. Ladies and gentlemen, the propaganda is in our textbooks. They start us off at a very young age, brainwashing you, making you believe that people who wanted to fight for something better for people in the community, that they're the bad ones. And these politicians walking down the street, smiling at you, taking pictures, holding everybody's baby when you don't even know where their hands were before that, that they're the ones that you're supposed to trust.
66 in Oakland, California, demanding freedom for Black people. They organized legal armed patrols to challenge police brutality. And chapters spread across the country, establishing survival programs like health clinics and free breakfast for children.
Being a member of the Black Panther Party is a way of life. Many people died for this struggle, and it's a struggle that endures to this day.
This is Fred Hampton.
John Preston and Jack Hart helped with the Black Panther exhibit on display at the West Side Center for Justice. The FBI labeled the party a Black nationalist hate group, using its counterintelligence program, COINTELPRO, to try to disrupt the organization from within.
Does that sound familiar, ladies and gentlemen? They called it a Black nationalist hate group. You see what they try to do, what they try to put out there? They used other Black people to infiltrate the Black Panther Party. One of those guys that was an infiltrator, I believe this was the same guy that basically told the feds that Fred Hampton was asleep, and so they knew to come in and, kill him then. He appeared on an interview in the 80s. You might be able to still find it on YouTube. He appeared on an interview in the 1980s, late 80s, early 90s, where he came forward and admitted that he was a rat. He died after that interview. So some of these tactics that we see, whether it's infiltration of third parties, infiltration of just like protest like movements, etc., that's been going on for a long time. They typically will use one of your own, and he was paid. They paid him very well, from what I understand.
And tensions were erupting between Panthers and police. 2 Chicago officers and a Black Panther died in a gun battle weeks before Hampton was killed.
One of the things that Fred said, that whether you live to be 19 or whether you live to be 99, if you haven't made a commitment, you haven't lived at all.
I mean, I think one of the reasons they moved on Fred Hampton so quickly was because he was pushing this idea of a rainbow coalition. See, that's very dangerous. If you're
See?
trying to keep people apart, you don't want them to get together.
See? That part right there. Similar with MLK. Remember, MLK wanted to bring people together. Matter of fact, now that I think about it, everybody that said, let's bring people together, seemed to be killed. So once you start getting into economics of it all, right? Like it's one point, like, MLK was talking about, let's have, integration. But then also MLK started to get to the class issue where he wanted to start working with people to help them unionize in Alabama. He also started talking about people coming to get their check. He was referring to reparations. So once he started to venture off into the class dynamics, they were like, yeah, we got to get rid of that guy. Same thing with MLK, or not MLK, excuse me, Malcolm X. When Malcolm X was all about, let's keep this stuff separate, it's like, okay, whatever. But the moment when Malcolm X decided to make a change and said, no, this isn't the right way, we need to try to start working together, Malcolm was gone. I think we have a little bit more here.
No one was convicted in the case. The families and survivors received a $1.8 million settlement. For many, though, Hampton's legacy is unsettled. An effort to name an honorary street after him failed under pressure from the police union, citing his anti-police rhetoric.
They can do anything they want to us.
But those who knew Hampton say his life and death reshaped Chicago politics.
If he had not sacrificed his life, then there would not have been a Harold Washington. There would not have been a Barack Obama.
And this is 50 years later, and he still had impact, the Black Panther Party. And if I ever get doubt, I see all the efforts to distort, to malign, to make it look like what it wasn't. I say, we must have did our job.
There it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when I talk about, the mutual aid that I do, that those of us at RBN do with our respective chapters, we didn't create that on our own. We got that from the Black Panthers. And we try as much as we can to help people, because at the end of the day, I'm here to tell you guys, at the end of the day, we're all we got. We're all we got. And I think one day people are going to see that more and more. But these politicians, these celebrities that people choose to idolize, at the end of the day, when shit hit the fan, we are all we got. And when that time comes, it's not going to matter what color you are. It's not going to matter what gender you are. All that's going to matter is the haves and the have-nots. So rest in peace to Fred Hampton. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.